So in here, we should have a watch that, well, we've been waiting for since 1974, and that is the new mechanical Casio watch. Yeah, this is Casio's first, well, non-quartz watch since they were founded. The vast majority of their watches being digital after all, but not this time. This new Edifice model, which I believe is called the EFK-100D, this one has an automatic movement in the back. So today I'm going to be unboxing it and giving you my first impressions. It's linked in the video description if you do find it interesting. This one cost me £269 on the Casio site, though I've now seen it crop up on a few grey market sites too, which I'll also link below. Most of the coverage I've seen of this watch so far has been from people who are given really early access to this watch from the looks of it, because they were able to release their reviews on launch day. And unfortunately, I'm not quite that lucky, but I don't mind either way. This watch has been rumored for months, so really interested to take a look at it. So yeah, it turns out the leaks were indeed accurate. And if you want to stay up to date with those leaks, definitely follow our newsletter in the video description. On In the Loop, I cover the newest releases, and especially if leaks like this have got such detailed imagery like this one did, then I'll often cover those too. Now, straight out of the box, two things really stand out to me. Number one, sadly, is that crystal. Now, I believe this is a sapphire crystal. Let me just check. Yeah, it's a sapphire crystal, and well, you can tell because of how hazy that thing is. This really is a rubbish looking crystal, unfortunately. It will be really scratch resistant, which is great, but visually, I mean, you can barely see the color of the dial there, and I'm not sure I've seen anyone mention that so far, but I mean, that is blatantly obvious to me. And it's a shame too, because the rest of this watch looks tremendous. Finishing on this is spectacularly good. Just gonna have a real close-up look here, but yeah, definitely reminds me of some of the Casio Oceanus watches. Some of the polishing in particular, really isn't far off that. I think they called that one a Zaratsu polish, this almost mirror-like finish, and this certainly emulates that. Also, the watch is maybe a little bit smaller than I expected, which is good for my arm. I'll go and give it the full measurements in a moment. The dial was really the thing I was most excited about for this watch, as well as the obvious movement, but we'll get to that in a second. And that's because on the product shots, it just shows this really elaborate texture. And sadly, because of that crystal, you really can't get a sense of that on camera. It does look a little bit better in person, and yeah, when you tilt it away from the light, I've just had a look there, it is much more visible. This, bear in mind, is with a polarizing filter on the lens. If I remove the polarizing filter, this is what the camera would show without that polarizer. I mean, you can't see shiz. That just shows that a company has gone for sapphire for that spec sheet, in my opinion. If you can't do it properly, you shouldn't really be doing it. I do think that the overall shape kind of reminds me of the Citizen Ciosa, with their size that kind of slots between the two versions of that watch. But some of the detailing is maybe a tiny bit better. I've got the Edifice branding up there at the top center, this being probably the most appropriate range for this watch. Luckily, they haven't gone for the uglier symbol logo that I know a lot of people don't like. They've just gone with the text version instead, which probably looks better. And yeah, the hands, really like that kind of cut out portion down the center. Not quite a skeleton layout, but I think it looks good. And it's also got an array of hovering markers there too. So yeah, the detailing on this watch is actually fantastic. And then if I cover the lighter fraction, you can see really what this watch is supposed to look like and what it looks like on loads of the renderings online. It looks really clear in the product shots, but sadly, like many Casio watches with sapphire, in bright light at least, it just doesn't look that good, just because of that crystal. Now, something that does look better is the bracelet. So you can see here, this is a integrated bracelet watch. From the looks of this, you can actually remove the end link there. You'll just be left with an awkward size, which I'll measure in a moment. The rest of the links, I think, are solid links from the looks of this. Yeah, it kind of looks like solid links. And we've also got a nice milled clasp there as well, which is unusual for Casio, so that feels quite comfortable. And we have a micro adjustment hole. I mean, basically one extra, as you can see here, but yeah, it's something. Not ideal, might do you? I don't know why they couldn't have lobbed one more in there, really. That would have covered all bases. Visually, the bracelet looks really good, though. I'll give you a close-up, but yeah, not really sure how much of this you can see. The watch, it's a shame because it looks really high quality, actually, really high quality. I do feel like at $269, even with that problem, it's pretty well priced. This is better constructed than the vast majority of AliExpress watches, no doubt. But yeah, there's as much of a look of the dial as I can really give you. Now, as for the dials themselves, there are 4 different versions, but only a few of them seem to be attached with the forged carbon label, basically, and that being both of the black ones. Whereas the other 2, this blue, which I think is the most popular one from the looks of this, and the green one, they're just forged carbon style, so they don't look quite as convincing, but they do give you a bit more colour. Now in the back of this one, we have a pretty common movement that isn't, I don't think, listed on the Casio site, or at least on the standard web listing. Only a Seiko NH35A, which is a very, very common movement for watches at this price. It does have a custom rotor there, which looks quite good, but it's far from the most impressive movement, and I do think that this maybe takes away from the wow factor of this launch a bit. You know, this isn't a movement made by Casio themselves, sadly, which I think is what a lot of people were really expecting or hoping for. But that isn't what you're getting here. It's more of a run-of-the-mill one. It does mean that they can probably keep the price down. I imagine if they had a Casio developed automatic in here, this watch would probably be north of 500 quid. Now, the case back itself is quite stylish, actually. It's raised and then just tapers off flat with like a matte blasted outer there, and then a laser etching for all the text. Secures this watch up to 100 meters of water resistance, which is ideal, really. You know, that is the sweet spot for most people. And ironically, the crystal here for this exhibition window is actually far clearer than the one on the front. It's actually really clear, so I anticipate that is likely just a piece of mineral. But you can really see the difference here between that and that. I mean, it's no contest in terms of clarity. Let's get you the exact measurements, because Casio isn't always the most reliable on this. At the widest point, it's somewhere around 38.5 millimeters. Now, lug to lug, if you were to take the literal lug to lug, it's about 43.4, but it does have these kind of fixed end links, at least with this stock bracelet, and with those included about 48.6, but it's still not a big watch. It's a little bit chunky here, 12.5, but not bad really, and I do think this has got a good chance of fitting me. Certainly looks maybe a little bit smaller than the measurements suggest, but no, on wrist it wears exactly as the measurements suggest. Really does look like a 39mm watch. Now that stock bracelet maybe puts it just a hair past what my skinny little arm can handle. Just because of those end links, you can see it just tapers down at quite an angle for me. So yeah, maybe not perfect. Might have to get a third party strap with this, but it is pretty close. You'll also see here it's a little bit flat in terms of the profile in general. Do get a little bit of gaps there under the lugs, but not too bad. The likes of the Soyosa. And my plan with this one overall actually is pretty simple, I think. I may well keep this, but I'm going to have to change that crystal out. Now, that is an operation I haven't actually done before, but I've got the tools to do it. And I think once that's changed for a sapphire with some good anti-reflective coating, this watch could be a banger. And the dial actually looks the part itself, if you could see it better. I don't think there's any coating on that, because there's no hue of any sort. The previous Oceanus watches with sapphire never really succumbed to that. Size of the crystal, by the way, I mean, I've got an exact measurement here of about 31.7, so do what you will with that information. Let's quickly check the low light performance too, because I'm not seeing much lume on there at all. And this has always been a weakness of Casio as well, is poor low light performance. And you can see there we've only got lume on the hands themselves. And yeah, looks like that's the same trade-off again here. In person, it does look better than it does on camera, but even so, that is pretty pathetic. But yeah, despite both of those problems, I can't help but think it still has like an air of prestige and quality about it. Just looks like a more expensive watch for sure. And I could see myself wearing it, but I'm going to have to make some modifications, I think. This watch is linked below if you do want to take a look at it. Would love to hear your comments in the section below.